When I was a kid, my parents were divorced, and my dad had a house, North Shore Lake Tahoe, up on the mountains facing south, looking at the lake. And down below us, it's all wooded, heavily wooded areas. And down below us was another house. And when I say below us, I mean from our back porch, we were looking over their house. The gap between our house and theirs, you could have a conversation with somebody on the porch, but you'd have to talk loud. It was a pretty good distance, maybe 150, 200 feet. One day in the early 80s, I was maybe 12. I was out on our back porch, and we didn't know the neighbors over there. We never talked to them on the street below us. And some guy appears on their back porch. He was really tall and thin. He was all legs. And it looked like he was wearing a turban, except it was way too big. It was white. It was bulbous. It wasn't a religious thing. It was like ridiculous, looking like he was wearing a space helmet. This guy comes out on his back porch, and he's wearing big sunglasses, and he's looking at his newspaper. And I was about 12 at the time, and I remember looking down and seeing that because it looked so awkward because the thing was so big on his head. And I'm like, whatever, and he was out there for a while. I didn't talk to him to say anything, just saw it. Kind of forgot about it. Fast forward the clock at 25, 30 years, and for some reason I'm reading something about hair transplants and hair plugs, and the guys in my family, for whatever reason, we keep our hair. It's a genetic thing. But I was reading about that, and it said that this has been an ongoing thing for generations. Guys don't like losing their hair, and they were talking about some of the earlier hair loss ideas, how to prevent or how to correct it. And they were showing pictures, and all of a sudden this picture of this guy wearing this big turban, and it took me immediately back to the guy that was down on the deck below the house. And it was the turban. It was the big fat thing. Now what they did is they would shave the person's head, and they'd make an incision, and they would shove this bag, an airbag, up under the scalp and inflate it and stretch the skin, make the head all floppy, and then they would pull it together, sew it up, cut off the excess, and I guess put plugs or something in the front. I'm like, wow. And it was experimental. It never got FDA approval. And I just read about it, and it said that only like 3 people ever had this done because the feds, they shut it down. They said it wasn't a good idea. And then they mentioned one of the first people in the 1980s to get that done to their head was Clint Eastwood. Well, wait a minute. So I started playing around on the internet, and it turns out that Clint Eastwood owned a house in my dad's town that he lived in. It was Incline Village, Nevada. And I went, no kidding. So our neighbor right down the hill was Clint Eastwood, and nobody knew it. We never saw him. We never talked to him. We didn't know he was there. And I was like, wow, who knew we had been in that close proximity? I just thought that was kind of funny, and I don't even know why that popped into my head today, but it did. That's what happens when you have too much free time. All right, have a great day.